that rushed through the parts of Fargo and West Fargo. A number of vehicles stalled on high water yesterday, with officials saying they could have been avoided if drivers did not attempt to cross water-covered roads. Heavy rain taxed the drainage system, which caused storm drains clogged with debris, which created more flooding. North Dakota's Game and Fish Department are closing the state's paddlefish season. The department closed the season to protect the fish population long-term. Snag and release season is still underway and will run through next Sunday. Anglers are not allowed to use a gaff. And Burleigh County is expressing its opposition to the possible use of eminent domain for a proposed carbon dioxide pipeline. Landowners pushed the non-binding resolution as a way to send a message to the North Dakota Public Service Commission. The PSC can seek eminent domain, but cannot grant it for the purposes of the pipeline. This is Ty Schoenrich with The Flag and AM 1100theflag.com. First with the news when you need to know.
Big deals.
These days, we all want our money to go just a little bit further. We also want to support local businesses. When you visit the Big Deals online store, you can do both. Shop anytime. The store is always open and loaded with great deals. Buy discounted gift certificates to local businesses and spend them just like cash. Visit online or download the Big Deals app to shop right from your phone. Shop local, buy local with Big Deals.
A fresh round of finger-pointing. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House accusing conservatives of being hypocrites for calling out protests outside justices' homes after a leaked draft opinion suggested the Supreme Court may overturn Roe v. Wade.
Outgoing White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki says while the president opposes violent or intimidating protests, the ones outside Supreme Court justices' homes have been peaceful. She criticized what she called voices on the right who are upset about these protests.
Well, remaining silent for years on protests that have happened outside of the homes of school board members, the Michigan Secretary of State.
When asked why the president is now using the phrase ultra MAGA to criticize Republicans, she cited Republican Senator Rick Scott's tax plan and abortion issues.
And it's also the obsession with culture wars and wars against Mickey Mouse and banning books. President thinks that's extreme.
She said the president added ultra to give it an extra pop.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. President Biden says his top domestic priority is fighting inflation.
The bottom line is this. Americans have a choice right now between two paths, reflecting two very different sets of values.
He says his plan attacks inflation and grows the economy, while Republicans want to raise taxes. Senate Minority Whip John Thune.
His administration right now has no solution except to spend more, because that's what Democrats do when they have power. They grow government, they expand government, they spend more, and they try and raise taxes.
He says the president's trying to change the subject from failed policies on multiple issues. The House set to vote tonight on nearly $40 billion in aid for Ukraine, both military and humanitarian assistance.
It needs to be clean of extraneous matters directly related to helping the Ukrainians win the war.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says negotiations on the final package have been underway. He again raises concern about the president's call for more COVID funding. America is listening to Fox News.
Novo Platform Inc. is a fintech, not a bank. Banking services provided by Middlesex Federal Savings, FA, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
You're making something new with your business. To support you, Novo built a new kind of business checking. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, Novo is customized to your business to save you time and free up cash flow. Sign up for your free business checking account right now. Plus, our listeners get access to over $5,000 in perks and discounts at novo.co/today. novo.co/today.
Did you know that most adults with autism are unemployed, and a major hurdle is the lack of job opportunities? That's why Autism Speaks is teaming up with Lee Container, the J. Donald and Laurel Lee Family Foundation Fund, and Delivering Jobs to create a more inclusive workforce in the U.S. Are you an HR professional, community leader, or business owner? Join us in creating a workforce where people of all abilities can contribute and thrive. To learn more, visit autismspeaks.org/employment.
We'll have increasing clouds through this evening with a west wind around 5 to 15, gusting to 20. The wind will go light tonight as it turns to the east with cloudy skies and a low of 47 degrees. And we'll warm back up to 72 for your Wednesday. Partly sunny with some scattered showers and thunder showers likely into the afternoon. It will turn windy with gusts up to 30. And by late afternoon and evening, we'll see scattered thunderstorms developing. One or two could be strong to severe into Wednesday night. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Designer Smiles in your name tells me that I get to design a smile. I just got to talk to you.
That's right. Designer meaning we can customize any sort of smile that you ultimately want. You want something that a celebrity in Hollywood versus something that's just better than what you currently have, what your goal is or what is the most important aspect of your smile. We're going to customize or tailor or made our treatment to best suit your needs or what your desire is.
Call 298-9400, 298-9400, or go to fargodentalcare.com. That's the website for Dr. Jeff Harry, Designer Smiles.
One more time, got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate and dance so free. One more time, this got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate.
The Chris Berg Show, where faith and freedom reign.
One more time.
Breaking news today, gas prices hit an all-time high today. Yes, gas prices hitting an all-time high, up roughly over 50% since last year. How's your pocketbook feeling? How are things feeling right now in the old pocketbook when you see prices going up on food and gas? We're going to dive into this today. President Joe Biden addressed the inflation situation in our nation earlier today. It's embarrassing. Some of you may or may not agree with this. I think I've been very kind on this show, right? Been doing this now for 6 or 7 months on the radio. I think I've been very generous, very kind. Haven't come out really strong against some things. So it's like, okay, we'll give people a chance here. We'll see if they're actually going to start telling the truth. They don't even blush anymore. They just lie to you and don't even blush. Also, we had oil executives testifying up on Capitol Hill. Congressman Kelly Armstrong did what he always does. Took the administration to task, not the execs, but said just laid out the facts of what's been happening here within our situation. Let's dive into this. Welcome to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth. Where else today can you actually go and get the truth? I would submit there's very few places. That's why right now it's so rare to be able to come to a radio show, a show that's being broadcast live stream, thanks to Sarasota Fargo, where you can actually get that daily dose of truth. We're like your vitamin, right? You take one of those one-a-days. We're like your one-a-day vitamins of truth to help set you and your family free, to retain your liberty, to retain your sovereignty. And the beautiful thing is we're talking about gas prices. We're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you in America fuel better. All right, some pretty shocking numbers. And I've been talking about this for quite some time. That one of the worst things about inflation, there's a lot of things, but it's theft, right? They're basically stealing your money and stealing your time as the Federal Reserve continues to debase our currency, lower your buying power. But the worst part about inflation, especially when you see gas prices going up, food prices going up, is that it's the worst for the poorest people. There was a number that came out that I saw today that the average family right now, because of the uptick in gas prices and food prices, now has got $3,000 less per year of disposable income. Let that sink in for a moment. Just think about what $3,000 means to you. And now because of these increasing gas prices and food prices, the average family right now in America is looking to have $3,000 less of disposable income. Now, if you're making $300,000 a year, big deal, right? Okay, I got $3,000 less disposable income, whatever. But if you're making 30 G's a year, and now you got $3,000 less per year of disposable income for food, rent, debt, whatever else it might be, you might be making some tough decisions. Do you think the elites care? Do you think the elites are looking out for you? No, they're going to put you into this washing machine of disinformation and just scramble your brain and hope you just go, you know what? I don't know what else to do. I just want to go work harder and hopefully I'm going to figure this thing out. And this is why I think it's so important that you and I have these conversations, because is the American dream still the American dream? Do you feel like you can actually get up today, work really hard if you're coming from a lower income, middle income, and actually truly get ahead? For some people, it's possible. But it's changing. It's changing. Now, last week, we shared with you some polling from Axios in regards to this thing. I don't know. Maybe you've heard about it, the Federal Reserve. Kind of important because they're stealing your time and your money as they just go out and they just walk into this little room. And they go, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to just steal from the American people. What does this button do? Psh, print more money. I think I'm going to steal some more time and money from the American people. What does this button do? Psh, print more money. And we talked about, look, the reason we're having this conversation, because I'm telling you, the great reset that we are going through right now with the World Economic Forum, right? They want to say it's about COVID and the health. This is about a economic, financial reset. And so if you don't know, then anybody can tell you anything, and you're going to be like, okay, sounds good to me. Especially because we defer so much power to people in authority. Again, we'll get back into the Milgram experiment at some time in the future. If you haven't watched the Milgram experiment, please do yourself a favor and look into the Milgram experiment and how you and I so easily give away our power to people that we perceive to be in authority. Here's what I mean specifically. So Axios comes out with this poll in regards to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve does two things, right? Their job is really to do two things. Do they do them well? That's a debate for another time. But there are two things that they want to do. One is maximize employment. And then two is they want to stabilize prices. That's the only two things that they are really out there to do. And they are the people that dictate whether there's inflation or not, interest rates, all those kind of things. So when you look at the polling from Axios, it is crystal clear that very few Americans really have any idea what the Federal Reserve does. Like it just is what it is, right? Good, bad, right or wrong. Not many people know what the Federal Reserve actually is put in place to do, which, by the way, it is not a government agency. Please remember that, because I think that is so critically important. It is not a government agency. So knowing this, Joe Biden gets up today, wants to address inflation. Now, keep in mind, gas is at the highest level it's been, right? All-time high today. So just any average Joe, pun intended, would go, oh, okay, maybe supply and demand, right? Like, I know, maybe what I should do is stand up today and go, you know what? I thought I knew what I was doing. My bad. I really care about the American people. We're going to go into the Bakken. We're going to go into the Permian. We're going to go all over the place, and we are going to start pumping oil like crazy so we can bring these prices down and bring in more supply. Do you think that's what Joe Biden did today? No. What does he want to do? He wants to subsidize more renewable energies. Let's have more wind and more solar. And I don't know, is it easy to transport solar and wind to places that need it? Anyways, Joe Biden gets up. Keep in mind, Federal Reserve, they're there to stabilize prices, keep inflation at 2%. That's one of their only two objectives. So what does Joe Biden do, knowing that most Americans have no idea what the Federal Reserve is or what it does? He says this.
You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share. My plan asks those companies to pay their fair share in taxes. Congressional Republican plan, let them off scot-free. And if you weren't extreme enough in the Congressional Republican agenda,
I mean, it is unbelievable to watch. I guess he's like Anchorman, right? Remember Ron Burgundy, Anchorman? Like, you just put it on the screen, he's going to read it. Doesn't matter what it says. If you've seen the movie Anchorman, remember what he says about San Diego? I can't say it on the air, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's Joe Biden. You just put it on the screen. I'm just going to read it. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. Doesn't even matter if it makes any sense whatsoever. The way we're going to get rid of inflation is by creating class warfare. It's stunning. So here's another clip. I've got a bunch of them, but I want to dive in a little bit more about him actually get into the meat of stuff. And again, just how he'll just flat out lie to us and doesn't even blush.
but first, I want us to be crystal clear about the problem. There are two leading causes of inflation we're seeing today. The first cause of inflation is a once-in-a-century pandemic. Not only did it shut down our global economy, it threw the supply chains and demand completely out of whack, especially in countries where more effective recovery responses weren't available, especially in those sectors that rely on semiconductors. These supply challenges have been further hampered by the onset of Delta and Omicron viruses. And you've all seen it, you've all felt it. And this year we have a second cause.
So, well, actually, let me play this. I get so frustrated listening to this. Let me play a little bit more here, then I'll explain.
Second cause. Mr. Putin's war in Ukraine.
What?
We saw in March that 60% of inflation that month was due to price increases at the pump for gasoline.
So he is now going to call, again, the Putin price hike because of what's going on with gas. Energy impacts everything. So he wants to go put the onus on Putin rather than going, oh, that's right, I've got this thing called the Bakken or the Permian or whatever you want to call the thing. Just go pump it. Let's call it the pump price hike because there's no pumping going on that needs to be taking place across America rather than blaming this Putin guy. All you're doing is making Putin wealthier. He's got plenty of places to go sell his oil at a higher price now. It's so now that's what he wants to blame inflation on. Then the first one, he talks about a pandemic. But again, it's like when we had Neil Kashkari in Fargo. God bless Neil. But these people want to stand up and basically treat you and I like a bunch of idiots. And there was not a mention from Joe Biden or from Neil Kashkari until I asked him about it, going, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So this could be a ridiculous question or idea, but if you print trillions and trillions of dollars, like, doesn't that sort of cause inflation? There's not a mention of that in any of this conversation. Joe Biden, Neil Kashkari, any of them. Just to share with you a little bit more about how much Joe Biden is, again, he's just not there. He's just not there. Senator Rick Scott, like when you're the president of the United States, when you've been a senator for 40 years, like Joe Biden was, and when you're the president of the United States, like you need to know at least 100 people. Meaning you need to know who the senators are, right? Like who they represent, who they are. That is a very, very important and big position. If you know Senator Rick Scott, he's out of Florida, big Trump backer. Here's Joe Biden.
And what's the congressional Republican plan? They don't want to solve inflation by lowering your costs. They want to solve it by raising your taxes and lowering your income.
Have you heard one Republican that's not a proponent of pumping more oil? I haven't heard one Republican that's not saying, hey, you know what? I got an idea here. Why don't we go? Let's pump more oil to have more supply, and that will very easily bring down prices. Oh, by the way, it's also great for America because we get to become energy independent.
I happen to think it's a good thing when American families have a little more money in their pockets at the end of the month. But the Republicans in Congress don't seem to think so. Their plan has actually made working families, going to make working families poorer. You don't have to take my word for it. It's in writing. They've made their intentions perfectly clear. Senator Rick Scott, Wisconsin, a member of the Senate Republican leadership, laid it all out.
Senator Rick Scott from Wisconsin. All right, I want to give a quick shout out here to Congressman Kelly Armstrong, represents the great state of North Dakota. Again, oil execs were on the Hill. I'll probably play more of this at the end of the show because we got a couple special guests coming up. But here's how he opened up his Q&A today.
Recognizes the ever patient Mr. Armstrong, who's been sitting here all day for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's be clear what the title of this hearing should be. It should be called Gaslighting Americans About Gas Prices.
Very well said, Congressman Kelly Armstrong. Gaslighting Americans about gas prices. That's exactly how I probably should have titled this monologue that way, but I didn't want to steal his thunder because, again, gas prices hit a record high. The average family right now is looking at losing $3,000 per year of disposable income. That's a big chunk of change on a monthly basis. If you want to email into the show, very easy to do. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. I want to say thank you very much to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio inbox. They go down there. They will take care of you to customize your shoe, your boot right to your foot. Boot, foot. You get it what it is. It's 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Again, 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. We've got a couple of very, very special guests coming up right after this.
Hello, this is Matt Lehman and Mike Walski with Fargo Roofing and Siding.
We are excited to announce that we are expanding our footprint. This spring, we are opening offices in Fergus Falls and Grand Forks.
If you know someone that is looking for commercial or residential roofing, make sure to tell them about the amazing experience they will receive when working with Fargo Roofing and Siding. We have set the standard for roofing in our region.
For more information or to schedule a free estimate, please visit fargoroofing.com.
Premium quality, premium service. Daddy, can I sing the song?
Sure, honey, go ahead.
Fargo Roofing and Siding, yeah.
Hello, Shane with Irie Insurance. I'm here to tell you how the Dale Carnegie course increased confidence, lowered stress, and greatly improved productivity in our office. Not only in our managers, but our sales agents as well. I'm extremely pleased that we took the Dale Carnegie course. They helped educate and promote personal as well as business growth. Their focus was on increasing professionalism, listening skills, and being better people. You too can inspire teamwork in your business. Visit with Dale Carnegie today.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow are offering a BOGO extravaganza on multiple MyPillow products right now. Now's the time to join the millions of Americans who've changed the quality of their sleep with MyPillow. Right now, buy one, get one free pricing on MyPillow bed sheets, Giza Elegance MyPillows, 6-piece towel sets, and Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows, and so much more. Just go to the Radio Listeners Square at MyPillow.com, use the promo code SCOTT, or call 800-506-9028. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to buy one, get one free on select products. You'll also receive Mike's book absolutely free with any purchase. What are the odds? From crack addict to CEO. Call 1-800-506-9028 or go to the Radio Listeners special page at mypillow.com. Remember to use the promo code SCOTT. Check frankspeech.com and mystore.com for great deals too with the promo code SCOTT.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association at this station.
Do you want to learn what to do when threatening weather approaches? Greg Gust from the National Weather Service in Grand Forks will be at the Red River Regional Marksmanship Center on Tuesday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m. Greg will teach you the signs to look for of threatening weather and answer questions about how to keep your family safe. After completing the class, you can become a Skywarn Weather Watcher. The training is free of charge. Mark your calendar for May 24th and join them at the Red River Regional Marksmanship Center and become a Skywarn Weather Watcher.
If you feel alone and don't understand, if you're fighting the fight of your life, then stand. We're gonna make it through this hand in hand. And if we fall, we will fall together.
This is for the second chance. This is for the new romance. Sing it for the left in vain. Overcame. It's not too late.
If you're looking for hope tonight, raise your hand. If you feel alone and don't understand.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. You know, I know many of you, I get a chance to visit with you every single day, and you just think about your life over the last 20, 24 months, and it feels like you're walking into a headwind. It feels like there's arrows, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep fighting. And I want to share with you over the weekend, as we had Dr. McCullough in town, I think it was Saturday, he talked about he had a chance to visit with RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., right? And he said, you know, one of the premises, now that family's had a bizarre history, but I thought there was a nugget here that Dr. McCullough mentioned that I think is so important for all of us. Just take a moment and think about, especially in light of the song that producer BG just played right there. There's no greater opportunity. There's no greater, chance to be alive than in the time during a crisis. Because when there's a crisis happening, like that means you, me, everybody's got a chance to step up and see us through this crisis. And we've talked a lot on the show about a book called The Fourth Turning. I think all of us can now finally see, yes, we are in a crisis. So rather than kind of going, man, this is rough, this is tough, I would invite you to think about the hope knowing that there's never been a better time in the history of humanity to be alive than right now. You and I are experiencing the greatest psychological operation in the history of mankind. The question is, what are you going to do to go out there and give more people hope, shine that light, and navigate us out of this darkness back into the light? So we've got a couple of very special guests to join us today in studio to talk not just about this, but also Dr. McCullough, being in town Friday and Saturday, what they got out of it. You may remember the name Dr. Jeffrey Horak. He's out of Fergus Falls. He was fired because he said, yeah, you know what? I'm reading the science. I don't know if the masks are really what they've been out to be. I don't know if they're really stopping or preventing the spread of COVID. And for him simply sharing what I think most people would presume is data, because there really hasn't been any good double-blind studies on the effectiveness of masks, he got fired. He got fired for simply stating what most of us would presume 36 months ago was science. And then his wonderful wife, Debbie, as well, is joining us in studio. She's the author of a great new book that she shared with me. So we'll talk about that as well. So to both of you, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you again. And thank you for what you guys are doing.
Our pleasure.
My pleasure too. It was really fun to see you again on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I had forgotten about all those times in the trenches here.
Yes.
We were in the trenches.
You have been in the trenches, my friend. And so that's why I wanted to as an MD, so you were there Friday night, then you were there Saturday. There's probably 20, 25 healthcare providers there on Saturday, but only 3 MDs, you, Dr. McCullough, and Dr. Matheson. For people that weren't there Friday, weren't there Saturday, what do you think is the single most important thing they should know from those 2 days?
Well, first of all, I think you should all try to find that video, and it's coming out. I don't think it's released yet of the talk from Friday night, because it's got data that's, it talks of a narrative that mainstream is not showing, yet it's all scientific data. I mean, true scientific data. And he presents it not from a judgment of either side. He just presents the data and allows you to make a decision. From a healthcare worker standpoint, I think all of us should look at it and make a decision on it, at least come to grips with what he says. So that's my biggest takeaway, was like, this is real data. Look at it.
But so what was the data point? You're like, whoa, didn't know that one.
Well, it's pretty much everything you hear in mainstream media. Turn the coin over. If the data shows that's not exactly what it's right, it's not what it shows. It's different. I mean, the death rates from there's just so much. I couldn't even pick one thing. And again, I'm a general surgeon. I don't read either side of this, but I was impressed by the way the data showed.
Freedom Matters USA, I believe it's .com, but Freedom Matters USA is where this video is going to be posted. I believe hopefully by Thursday, maybe sooner, but continue to look at that website and you'll get a chance to see video. And I agree, Dr. Horak. I mean, it's one of those videos you could probably watch 5 times and still get something new each and every time. Debbie, for you, I know you've got a background in healthcare and whatnot. So for you, when you think about Friday and or Saturday, the greatest takeaway or the most important thing people should know is what?
Yeah, my background's in psychology, and I was really, and I've heard a lot of this before about the Constitution. And one of the main things that I heard, remind me his name, Chris Kobash, that he said was that it's in the Constitution that a parent has a right to raise up their children the way they see fit and to educate them the way that they see fit. And so the school's now overstepping these boundaries of taking over how our children are raised, how they're educated, oversteps the boundaries of the Constitution of the United States. I think that's one of my main takeaways from the weekend, but man, it was awesome.
It was incredible.
The whole thing, and Saturday just blew my mind. That was just a beautiful gathering of like-minded medical professionals who are going, something's not right. Like, what's going on and what do we do? What do we do?
I want to get to that piece in a moment, but I think you asked the question that was not at me that morning. I want to get to see if either one of you got any clarity based on the conversation that day, or maybe in the last 48 hours. But my interpretation of what he said is, number one, this is probably man-made, like more often than not, the way he talked about the spike proteins and fitting into other proteins and cells. 2, because of that, it's pretty clear that this, I call it a psychological operation, a movie, whatever you want to call it, is intentional. And 3, the big thing that kept gnawing at me, and then you asked it, is why?
Right.
Why?
Right. And that, Jeff and I were sitting there as everyone was talking about the medical, and because we know a lot. I mean, we've gone deep, and since he was fired, we've gone even deeper, and we have learned so much that is being covered, that is not being talked about. And we've learned a lot. And so it's been really interesting to watch as the medical people. And we were just talking about the medical and this is happening. It's like, but why? And we believe there's something greater happening.
So explain.
Well, let me interject something quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You've talked about, what people are doing right now. And it was like in this, of Kennedy's comment, everybody's listening. You have to understand you're here for a reason. All right. This is not just them. It's now you. We are living in a time where we are responsible for what's going on, and we have to stand up. And so you, as a God-fearing human being, a God-fearing portion of mankind, needs to act, needs to stand up. You were chosen by God to be here now through this evolution. And one of the things that came out of that discussion was, this is not just about medicine. This is not just about people dying from a virus. This is a battle, just like Ephesians 6 says, this is a battle between good and evil. We are in that time. Revelation is going on, and we're living it. And whether you believe it or not, you need to pick a side. There is no middle ground in this anymore. And that's what seemed to come out to us on that Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That was the big thing for me too, is I was pretty stunned. But if you're just joining us, Dr. Jeffrey Horak and also his wife, Debbie Kaminsky, are in studio with us, was how I'm a very spirit-led person. So when I said, okay, doc, I get it. I understand it's intentional. I get that, but so where is it going? And all of a sudden he talked about Klaus Schwab, Great Reset. And then we went into this good versus evil. One thing I didn't get to say that I want to say, and I'm going to say it to you guys today, because I want you to respond to it. But according to scripture, the only way you overcome evil is with good.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I know that scripture also says is that the one thing that never fails is what?
God.
Love. And I go out and I talk to people because everyone's so frustrated right now because they know they're being duped, but I can't prove it because I got to go pay my bills and take care of my kid. Like, I don't have time for that, right?
Right.
So, 1, your reaction to what I just said about let's overcome evil with good. 2, let's lead with love. It's in your book, which I didn't even know. And 3, you guys are talking about, so I need to stand up and do, but do what?
Do what? It's
Yeah,
a good
that's
question.
the question.
People are always coming like, do what? I'm going to interject something that happened to us. I'm pretty much the poster child for what happens if you speak out against the policies. And I think in our case, I lost my job, not so much because of the mask.
But can we just be honest here? It's not the policies. You spoke out against what?
Well, I spoke about the narrative. I spoke up for God in schools, parents having the right to choose their children's education and their health care. I spoke out about a lot of the narratives that were not accepted at the time. Masks, it was a little bit, but there was more of the God piece. And as soon as that was over,
but here's what I want to get at, because I feel like I've got the rapport with you two that we can do this. Like, let's not color code this, right? You spoke up against evil. It wasn't a
absolutely no, it was
so
evil.
let's call it what it is.
All right, all right. We spoke out against evil.
We did.
We got a hard break. Stay with us. Much more coming up right after this.
We'll have increasing clouds through this evening with a west wind around 5 to 15, gusting to 20. The wind will go light tonight as it turns to the east with cloudy skies and a low of 47 degrees. And we'll warm back up to 72 for your Wednesday. Partly sunny with some scattered showers and thunder showers likely into the afternoon. It will turn windy with gusts up to 30. And by late afternoon and evening, we'll see scattered thunderstorms developing. 1 or 2 could be strong to severe into Wednesday night. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
This is Ag Issues with Neil Roberts.
Welcome to another edition of Ag Issues. Our guest this week is NDSU Cropping System Specialist Leo Bortolone from the North Central Research Extension Center. And Leo, wheat fungicide seed treatment is important right now, especially since planting dates have been delayed. Many fields are still wet across the region. Give us some advice.
Yes, wheat planting is expected to increase in the weeks to come since we are only 5% planted compared to 40% last year. So with several acres to resume planting the day to come, fungicide seed treatment is very important to manage seed-borne diseases or seedling blights and early season root rot. Seed treatments for managing these seed-borne diseases must include several mode of action. So several mode of actions, they will be very effective for fungicide control. All information to select the fungicide you can find at NDSU Pest and Disease Guide or even at the NDSU Extension Fungicide or Pest Management application.
Okay, good stuff, Leo. And we'll discuss how to select fungicides when we come back.
Scams targeting seniors are at an all-time high. NDSMP has tips for protecting seniors from Medicare scams. Tip 1. Medicare will never call you unless you called them first. Tip 2. Medicare is not issuing new cards. Giving personal information to scammers could lead to identity theft. Tip 3. Don't accept offers of free medical services from people you don't know. If you believe you've been a victim of Medicare fraud, contact NDSMP at ndcpd.org/SMP.
The COVID-19 vaccine is the best way to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Unsure of where to go to receive your COVID-19 vaccine or booster? It's as simple as going to vaccine.gov and selecting your zip code to locate the nearest vaccination clinic. The best way to get back to life as you knew it is to get your COVID-19 vaccination and booster. For information, visit ndcpd.org/vaccine confidence. That's ndcpd.org/vaccine confidence.
Talking wheat fungicide seed treatment today on Ag Issues with Leo Bortolone. And Leo, how do you go about selecting a fungicide?
Yeah, to select a fungicide for wheat seed treatment, just make sure they have more than one mode of action to help manage or suppress disease. This is very, very important if in the same field we have multiple root rot pathogens like Phydium and Fusarium. So if we use fungicide with multiple mode of action, will help to control Phydium in a cold and wet soil persist like we have, and also control Fusarium when we have a wide range of temperatures and soil moisture.
All right, good stuff, Leo. Thanks for that. And that concludes this edition. Hey, if you missed one, catch us on the website, agissues.com. Until next time, I'm Neil Roberts.
You've been listening to Ag Issues, brought to you in part by the North Dakota Center for Persons with Disabilities and by Bremer Bank, your ag banking leader.
Enhance your deck with new wood stain and finishes from Menards. Protect your wood projects with Cabot stains and finishes. These long-lasting finishes will enhance the look and offer protection against the elements. Cabot premium wood care products deliver unbelievable quality and satisfaction guaranteed. Get 11% off Cabot exterior stains and finishes. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through May 14th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Lay down, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth.
DJ BG, thank you very much for rolling us in with that song. And boy, is that apropos right now with what's going on across the globe. And that's exactly the purpose, the premise of this show. We're not perfect. We know that. And we're going to do everything we can to speak the truth, to shine the light in the darkness. We got a couple of very special guests that are doing the same. Dr. Jeffrey Horak and his wife, Debbie Kaminsky, to both of you. Thanks for sticking around. Debbie, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about something that you mentioned off camera. But Doc, let's just cut to the chase here. You talked about, hey, I spoke up against policies. I just want to make sure that we've got clear and concise communication today. So what did you really speak up against?
Yeah, I spoke up against the evil in the world. All right. Not knowing. I mean, I went there kicking and fighting like I shouldn't do this. And I was taken over by the Holy Spirit. And that 6.5 minutes of fame was driven by the Holy Spirit. And we stepped out, my wife and I, for the last 7.5 months. 7 months. I mean, today is the eve of that talk 7 months ago.
Yeah.
What?
Right. On your
And
show,
on your
right?
show, I
Mm.
mean, 7 months ago tonight, I was praying to God going, why would I do this? Why would I go to that school board and talk? I have no skin in the game. And I remember standing at the top of the steps, walking down to that. And if you watch that video again, right before I start talking, I look up and I say, I still don't know why I'm here. I wasn't talking to the school board people. And the next thing I remember, I was at the top of those stairs with everybody standing and cheering, but they weren't cheering for me. They were cheering for the message. All right. It struck a chord with everything that has been going on around here. And I walked out and I was like, I don't even know what I said. Dr. McCullough did the same thing. He said when he talked to the US Senate, he said he had a limited amount of time and so many things to say. And he said, I had it all put in paper. And he said, I put the paper away. And the next thing I know, I was done and it was 5 minutes. And he said, I had this vibration going through me. I didn't even know what it was. What we're talking about is the spiritual piece of this. In our journey, we have met people that, and the best story is this. We were in a church randomly picked off the internet in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And we had gone to a church service and it was like a revival. That's not the best part of it. When it was done, my wife got a message. She said, we need to go talk to that guy. And she points at this guy over in the corner. So we go talk to this guy. We walk up to him. Short story is he goes, here's my story. I don't write books. I own 3 boutiques in South Carolina. We retired here. So the Holy Spirit and God came to me in a dream and said, you need to write these books. And he write this book. And he gave me the title and he gave me what to put in the book. And it's a description of what we're in right now. And I'm going to give you a copy of it.
Thank you.
It's called The Coming Warring Church. Author is Art Gast. And it's all Holy Spirit driven. And I would recommend anybody pull that off the internet and read it because it talks about what to do next, what the leadership looks like. Where do we go in this battle? And it's not a battle of me versus my neighbor or United States versus Russia. It's a battle of good versus evil. Whatever you call evil, Satan, Lucifer, the dark forces, that's what's being battled in the heavenly realm and on earth. And we're part of that. And we don't know what to do. Yes, you defeat evil with love, but God is here as a warring entity. And the church that's coming, that we're actually in now, is a warring entity. It will be the biggest. It is the biggest army that's ever created. And it's not one nation. It's mankind. Mankind battling against the forces of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, how do you do that? The answers are in the book, given from God to this gentleman.
So I'm going to appreciate this book. When you say in the book, I'm going to say, hey, we don't fight against flesh and blood. I'm talking about that book, right? And,
yeah, it's in both books.
And putting on, and that's what I love about this cover, is putting on the armor of God, which, again, if you're just joining us, Dr. Jeffrey Horak and his wonderful wife, Debbie Kaminsky, are in studio with us today talking about Dr. Peter McCullough Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday, we were there with a bunch of healthcare providers, and you shared an anecdote about the armor of God.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing. I sit in meditation with Jesus, and I was there one day, and he showed up, and he said, we need to suit up. It's time to put on the armor of God and suit up. And he said, and it's time to rise up as the army of God. And it was really amazing because what I saw me standing there with this golden armor on with a sword, and then all these people around me, like masses of people behind and around me, that became the army of God. And then at that moment too, Jesus was holding out his hand with a white light in it. And I was like, okay, is this new agey? What is this? I don't really know what this is. And he held it out, and then he took it out of his hand and he put it over me. And I was like, okay, cool. Cause I didn't know what that was. And then he still stood there with his hand outstretched to me. And I said, what am I supposed to do with this? And his message to me was, I want you to give it to everybody you need, everybody you see. And that it is actually a coverage of protection from God. And I went and I talked to a minister about this, and that's exactly what he said. He said, you have been lifted up. He said, you have a charge, And he said, and your job is to suit everybody up, let them know that it's time to suit up, time to stand up. And this was before Jeff got fired. This was before we went and spoke at the school board meeting. And we did that because our friends asked us to. And I was like, no. One of my friends said, do you feel called to do this? I said, no, not really. And then I was up all night wrestling with God until 4:00 in the morning. What would I say? And then I fell asleep for a couple of hours and woke up and I said, that was a weird night. Yeah, no, I don't need to do that. And then the next day, another friend texts me in all caps, Debbie, we need you and your husband to come and speak at the school board meeting. So it wasn't even anything that we initiated, which is pretty crazy.
So people who are listening to this, and Chris, especially you, I mean, you're anointed. All right. You have you have a voice through this radio station and the people in this community. And it goes much further because you're now internet based and you can live stream this. What you spoke yesterday, those are the truths we've been listening to for months, but haven't come out anywhere.
Yes.
And they're being dripped out slowly. But now people of North Dakota, listen to this story and go look it up. Don't trust Chris or myself or Deb or all. Look to God. Look to your creator. We are the army of our creator. All right. The Bible talks about Jesus being, the headpiece, and we're the body, and this book is actually out of the main scriptures, Ezekiel 37, the dry bones. Half the people who are dry right now know what that means. The other half, you should go read about it. All right. And it's not about one religion over next. All right. Yeah. It's about mankind. We were created in the image of God. Whatever you call God, it doesn't matter the religion. Evil wins by dividing us, putting in dividers between you and this and the next person. All right. And God's like, you're all created in my image. I want all of you to join me.
I was talking to somebody today because we were having this conversation as well, just about Dr. McCullough and sort of what do we do. And I think I thought about this before, but it just came back to me. So if someone were thrown in jail and they did something really, really bad, what do we do to them? What do we put them in?
Yeah, prison.
But then from there, if they're in prison and do something bad, where do we throw them? In solitary confinement.
Oh, sure.
And why do we do that? Because it makes humans go nuts. When you're alone and you can't connect to other humans, it starts to play with what's going on upstairs.
Absolutely.
And my point to everybody out there, think about how evil it is you're doing it to the worst of the worst in prison. We acquiesce to it. We all said, oh, you want me to sit home and sit inside my house by myself and be in solitary? Okay. Like, yeah, you had computers and stuff, but come on, let's be real. Like, God didn't create you to connect over computers, So I just want people to start to see it in simple terms, sort of like how I said yesterday. I'm going to run out of time again, but like, why is the guy who created the World Economic Forum writing a book on a health pandemic?
Yeah, right.
There's a big question.
That's a question.
That's like McCullough was talking about. He said, we are just not thinking clearly. We are not clear. And that's what evil does.
But I think also when you're in solitary confinement, you don't think clearly. And that's why I think that was all part. I hate to say it's part of the plan, but
yeah, right.
Look at yesterday. I read 2015. They're talking about gaming food shortages in 2022. Like,
there's all of this stuff that's on Dr. McCullough's talks and stuff. They're science that's been written about 4 or 5 years ago, and now the new stuff.
All right,
the new stuff is current.
When we come back, I wanted to get to this earlier. We haven't had, but just sort of, you've had this 7 months now. Apparently, tomorrow's the anniversary. But what's it been like? And I think one of the things that Dr. McCullough said on Saturday was so important. We're going to talk about that as well coming up right after this.
Do you have money in the bank or the stock market? Do you check the balance often? Why wouldn't you do the same for your biggest asset?
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
Am Health Rehab Hospital of Fargo. We offer state-of-the-art personalized care for optimum recovery. Your care will be aimed at increasing independence and quality of life. Remember, you have a choice. Choose a full continuum of care with Pam Health Rehab Hospital of Fargo. Please call 701-404-5104 or go online to postacutemedical.com.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Rising home values mean that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about their smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to loandepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
With warmer weather around the corner, now is the time to get your place ready for summer, and Broughton Cabinets is here to help. Broughton Cabinets has a dedicated team of full-time designers with over 40 years experience. Whether you're building your dream home or remodeling and need to update your cabinets, no matter the design or budget, Broughton Cabinets will make your vision a reality, all while keeping your family in mind. Stop by our showroom on the I-29 frontage road next to Fleet Farm or visit online at BroughtonCabinets.com.
Meet your friends for food and fun at Three Lions Pub on 13th Avenue South in West Fargo.
They open at 11, so get the gang together for lunch.
Mondays, 2-for-1 burgers all day long.
Wednesdays, $2 off all sandwiches.
Thursdays, $2 off baskets.
Oh, and the blackjack tables are back.
And don't forget drink specials.
Tuesday is bingo night and trivia every Monday and Thursday nights.
Get your friends together for lunch at Three Lions Pub on 13th Avenue South in West Fargo.
Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out from the grave like Lazarus? You're brand new, power of death couldn't hold you. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out from the grave like Lazarus?
Can you create another Lazarus? You know, it's funny. I was reading the book of Matthew as we've been studying it, and this Bible study fellowship group that I'm a part of. And one of the things that always jumped out to me in the book of Matthew is that there was all these incredible miracles, right? Like Jesus going and healing people, raising people from the dead. But remember, one of the key things that Jesus talks about is, hey, you're going to be doing greater things than I am. So why are we not doing that anymore? Why are you and I not going out, healing people, raising people from the dead? I don't know. I wish I knew, because if somebody out there figures out, let me know, because I would love for us to be doing that. All right. Again, I want to give them final word here. Dr. Jeffrey Horak, Debbie Kaminsky, his wonderful wife, in studio today. They were at the Dr. Peter McCullough events over the weekend. You may remember he lost his job 7 months ago, roughly tomorrow, because he said masks aren't as effective as we're being told. So, Doc, I'm going to start with you. I remember when this happened, and I remember seeing your face because we were communing at the time and hearing your voice. And I went through the same thing in a different manner, but it's rough. Like, you definitely, like, your faith gets tested. Your relationship with the Lord is, like, for me, it became more intimate. But I mean, you know, there's some dark days. So walk us through kind of your 7 months quickly, if you can, and where you at today. And are you grateful now for this, or?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change one piece of what happened to us. It's the most amazing journey I've ever been on. People we've met, the Holy Spirit interventions in so many ways you can't even imagine. Things that were like, the best is this. Through one of these, we got a message from a friend who said, I was supposed to tell you this. The Lord says, now that he knows you trust him for what you've done, he's going to take you to places you've never been, never would have ever dreamed going. And every day, and McCullough and I talked about this, it's the same thing. Whoever calls you, go. You don't know where you're supposed to be. And I would suggest, this can happen to anybody. God chooses people in every walk and existence in places. And you don't know what your action that day will do to somebody else, how you could be the answer to their prayers. I mean, and that's one of the things you're like, how do we help people? Where do we go from here? We do this. We speak God out loud. We don't speak with shame. We don't hide our beliefs. We talk about it. We pray out loud. And when you see something, you do it. It's yours. You own it. You help people. Help them because they need that. And it's about fear. I mean, the biggest thing I ran into right after this was fear of not being able to support my family, fear of losing my practice, fear of I won't ever operate again. Those are things I'm trained to do. Well, I was trained to do all those things because I needed them to get me here for the really big test.
If you don't mind me kind of jumping on your coattails, I had a situation for myself when I knew that I was going to do what I was going to do. And I can't give specifics because I've told this person I'm going to keep it between he and I, or this person and I should say. But I mean, I got blessed in ways that I didn't even think were possible,
Absolutely.
right? Like things just falling into my lap, like, okay, thank you. It was just, it was incredible. So just for respect of time, Debbie, just for you, I mean, again, I remember talking to you. There was moments of like, oh, hey, what's going on here? What are we doing? And how you doing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man, I sounded Minnesotan there, didn't I, honey?
Just for a second.
Woo. And we still don't know where we're going. And that's what's so crazy. But, we're doing the BSF thing too, Bible Study Fellowship. And it was Matthew. And the whole message is about trusting that he's got you no matter what. And you don't always know what that looks like or what that is. So that was, I think as we sit here, our house is on the market. And Jeff has employment through August. And other than that, we have no idea where we're going. We don't know what's next. In these 7 months, I wrote and published a book. My book had been written. I wrote it a couple decades ago. I thought it'd be a quick publish. Haha. But anyway, is it okay if I share it?
Please. And give out the website too, if you can.
It's called My Shepherd of Love. It's for those going through the tough stuff in life. Anyone out there going through any tough stuff in life? Just wondering. But it was in the back of the book is a download that I got from the Holy Spirit one night. I couldn't go to sleep, or he woke me up. I don't remember what it was. And he said, go write this for your readers. And so that's what I did. I wrote this for my readers. And one of the things that people always say to me who've read this is they say, you said one thing in there that changed me. You said, stop asking why, because in why there's no hope, and start asking what's next, because in what's next, there's hope.
What's the website? We got 30 seconds.
Oh, yes. It's MSOL, like My Shepherd of Love, MSOL book.com. And I have a special just for your guests. It's 2 books. They're $15 a piece. I'm going to give you my $20 #1 bestseller for free, plus free shipping. So go there now, MSOL, My Shepherd of Love, abbreviated, book.com.
Perfect. God bless you both. Thanks for being here. We'll continue to keep you guys in our prayers, and I know we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
That much I do know. I don't know when, but I know that I will see you soon. So be sure and join us tomorrow morning, 7:30 our time. The numbers on inflation are going to come out. So we're going to have Dr. Scott Boulier, the Dean of the NDSU Business School, is going to join us. He's fantastic. Thursday, Dr. Scott Jensen is going to join us for the entire hour. We'll talk about 2,000 mules and all kinds of things. And then Friday, unfortunately, soon to be former Miss North Dakota, Raina Bergstrom, is going to join us as well. So lots happening. It's the Chris Berg Show. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m.
It's time for the Richardson Report, your ag weather focus on the